Well, after the South Carolina Supreme Court threw out the murder conviction of Alex-Murdaugh, the case that once captivated the eyes of many Americans is now taking another major turn. Today, I'm sitting down with one of the men that represented Murdaugh during that trial, and he's here to tell us all about what's next, how soon we can see another trial, and obviously we know he's probably excited about this news. So first off, I want to thank you for joining us and doing this interview with us.
Well, it's good to be here. And I think I want to, we're trying to talk a little bit about what that decision means. And I will tell you right off the bat, what its overarching meaning is that the rule of law with the South Carolina Supreme Court is alive and well in South Carolina. It's not doing so well in other parts of this country, but here, this court called balls and strikes. They said, this is the law, these are the facts, and they applied them without any sort of massaging. I want to commend them for that. Here we have a clerk of court attempting to fix the jury, or maybe did fix the jury, we don't know. We don't need to show whether she fixed it or not, just that she tried to get a new trial, for us to get a new trial. Unheard of, unprecedented. I've talked to people all over this country. Nobody had ever heard of any such thing happening before anywhere. And that alone should give us a new trial. You're guaranteed by the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution a fair trial, and we didn't get one. So I think the Supreme Court got it right. And they made some evidentiary rulings which will make a retrial shorter, more compact, and fairer.
Through this entire ordeal, he has been adamant that he did not murder his wife and son. Hearing this news now that the Supreme Court, the South Carolina Supreme Court, has thrown out that murder conviction, what was his reaction to all of this?
Well, initially, we called him after the arguments back in February in front of the Supreme Court and told him we thought it went really well. And he sort of resigned himself to the fact that he was not going to get, after Justice Toll turned down the motion for a new trial, he just felt despondent about the fact of getting a new trial in state court. He thought, if we got to federal court, we'd be okay. So he was in disbelief when we talked to him on Wednesday. What do you mean? And then he's a lawyer. We got him a copy of the decision. He read it and he said, I still can't believe it. Of course he's excited. He's elated that he's going to get a shot again, and this shot won't be affected by somebody lobbying the jury to convict him. It won't be affected by all kinds of extraneous financial crimes evidence that won't be admitted. And I think the next trial will be much shorter, much more focused. And if the jury does that, there's not a shred of evidence that shows he killed Maggie and Paul.
And when we're speaking about the new trial, I know we can't talk about too much on the specifics, but you guys spoke about new evidence that you guys could potentially present at this new trial. I don't want to know about the new evidence, but how confident are you that this new evidence will initially land that acquittal that you guys are searching fighting for?
To be frank with you, I don't think we need new evidence to get an acquittal. The law enforcement didn't even attempt to take fingerprints or DNA from the scene. They didn't attempt to preserve tire tracks that led away from the bodies. They didn't attempt to do just basic, you don't have to watch CSI to understand what basic forensic crime scene processing looks like. They didn't do it. So they've got no guns, no ballistics, no confession, no eyewitness, no test, nobody that corroborates that Alec was involved in any way. They got him lying about where he was, and they say he was there on the scene within minutes of the deaths. They have nothing. The coroner showed up, and I understand it's a rural county and he's probably not well trained, but to determine time of death, professionals take body temperatures, get the temperature of the ambient atmosphere, and they can determine based on the temperature of the body, estimate time of death. He stuck his hand under Maggie and Paul's armpits and said, they've been dead an hour and a half, or whatever it was. That's what we call a guess. And that's not, and the state didn't even rely on that. They relied on the fact that Maggie and Paul's phones stopped communicating with anybody. They weren't texting anybody or calling them after a certain time. The jury ignored and the state has ignored the fact that everyone testified cell phone reception in that down there at the dog kennels was sporadic at best and non-existent much of the time. So the fact they weren't calling anybody or texting anybody could not be, that's how they estimate time of death. Oh, they stopped at this time. There are a number of other reasons it could have stopped. And even with that time, there's no evidence indicating that Alec was down there.
Absolutely. And you guys are, asking the courts that this retrial be tried in a different county. Two-part question here. If that happens, given how much attention this case has received, do you feel as if though you guys will get a fair jury during this trial?
We think there's a way to do that. I point out that 40 years ago I prosecuted a guy named Donald Pee Wee Gaskins. I've written a book about it that came out this year called Dig Me a Grave. And we detail in there, Pee Wee Gaskins at the time was the largest mass murderer in the history of the state. He had 13 prior convictions for murder. And so when we went to pick a jury to try Gaskins in a death penalty case, we, the lawyers, got to do individual voir dire under the statute. That is questioning the juror. And you'd say to a juror, you'd ask a juror, do you know anything about Donald Pee Wee Gaskins? Yes. What do you know about him? Largest mass murderer in the history of the state. Well, could you put that aside and base your verdict in this case on the evidence you hear in this courtroom? Many of them said no. They were very honest about it, and I think jurors will be honest if that question is posed to them individually and specifically. But some said, yeah, I know about him, but I'm going to base my verdict on this case, this evidence. And so if we get that kind of process, yes, I think we can get a fair jury.
And you said this just a few moments ago, given during the trial, there was a lot of evidence that just couldn't pinpoint him to being responsible for these murders. Do you feel if this retrial happens, more witnesses are likely to come forward who may have been afraid to speak up during the first trial?
That is a possibility. We've certainly received information that would indicate that might happen.
And what's your response to that?
Well, I don't want to talk too much about it because, whatever I say to you, the Attorney General's watching. And so why would I want to educate him? We don't have to under the law, and we'll make him aware in the trial at the appropriate moment.
And I want to talk about statistics when it comes to retrials, especially with criminal defendants. How favorable are they or have they been in the past?
The national statistics would indicate that a retrial, the defendant's chances of acquittal go up 40 or 50%.
And you've said before that this retrial will look like a completely different trial. I guess I'm pretty sure you can't give us too specifics, but what are some of the things, or how will you guys approach this different this time?
Well, the Supreme Court's ruling will exclude, even the Attorney General yesterday was saying they understood that the financial crimes evidence, if allowed, may not be allowed at all. But if allowed, would be much, much more constrained, much, much less prejudicial. The financial crimes come in to show motive. They don't come in to assassinate his character, and that's what they did very effectively in the first trial.
And granted, we've heard in the previous trial when Murdaugh took the stand, it was highly noted that that probably wasn't the best idea. So many folks, saying that in this new trial, is it likely he could take the stand again, or would you advise him to take the stand again? I know
that's a game day decision. Okay, so we have no idea and won't have any idea until we're into the trial whether he'll testify or not.
And is a plea deal on the table at all?
If there is, we're not taking it. He will never plead guilty to killing Maggie and Paul. He has said he's innocent of that. And by the way, he pled to the financial crimes. The results on the financial crimes, he'll probably never get out of jail.
And with this new trial, Alex admitted to lying repeatedly and is convicted of those financial crimes. How possible is it to convince a jury or the public of his credibility?
Well, I don't care about the public. And his credibility, as soon as he was, his financial crimes cases were called, he walked in and admitted on the stand during the murder trial. Yes, I stole that money. He pled guilty to it with no deal whatsoever. And so I think that gives him credibility. He will concede he had lied, cheated, and stolen, and he hurt a bunch of people, and he's pled guilty to that. But he didn't. Simply because you steal doesn't mean you murder, and so he did not kill Maggie and Paul.
And you know, some people believe that powerful people, we know Murdaugh was a well-known man, and they believe powerful people obviously get second chances. What do you say to those folks who feel that this may be him using his privilege to get that second trial?
No, he used damn good lawyers to get that second trial. Privilege had nothing to do with it. If anything, that cuts against him. And we now know, I think he thought, and most people in the family thought that he was very popular in Colleton County. I think there's a very heavy resentment to the Murdaughs in general and to him specifically, and I think that came out in the jury verdict.
And speaking of those good lawyers, obviously we know the work is not free, and you guys aren't getting paid at this time. Do you feel that the notoriety that this case has gotten kind of supersedes the pay in a trial like this?
No, and Jim and I made it clear yesterday in a number of interviews. When you sign on to a murder case, you get paid, and we got paid a big hunk of money up front. You're in it till it's over. It ain't over. And sometimes you make money, and sometimes you lose money. And in my business, on the civil side, I do plaintiffs' cases. I represent people who get injured in a number of different ways. Sometimes you make money. Sometimes you invest in $500,000 in experts and lose. I mean, it's just that's the business. But if I say to you, I'm going to represent you for X, we're married till it's over.
And is that common across the board when it comes to representing clients? And I'm not specifically speaking for you, but just in general.
I don't know what other people do. That's been my policy for the 50 years I've been practicing law, and Jim, who's practiced probably 30 years. You can't. It's not about the money. You undertook a job, and they paid you to do it, and simply because it doesn't become economically rewarding for you, you can't walk away from it.
Okay. And if a retrial ends with a conviction, would your team accept that conviction? And do you believe the state's case, or do you believe the state's case is fundamentally flawed?
I think the state's case is fundamentally flawed. Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's no evidence, and who is supposed to gather that evidence? The state, SLED, local law enforcement, and they didn't do it.
And I want to talk about the family. Obviously, we know this is a double-edged sword here, but some people will say doing a retrial would kind of open old wounds to the family, the other side of the family who really doesn't want to see this on TV again, in the media. What do you say to those folks?
I think they're right that none of the family wants to see. They got PTSD from the first trial. They don't want to reopen those wounds, but Alec is entitled to a fair trial, and that supersedes anybody's feelings.
Absolutely. And we talk about this retrial. How soon could we see a retrial?
Sometime next year. There's just no way. We don't have a judge appointed. We can't even begin a process until a judge has been appointed, and the Chief Justice hadn't done that yet. And I think he's probably going to have to call around and find somebody willing to do it. I mean, this is not going to be an easy lift for any judge. The attention, wanting to get it right, the research, the reading. I mean, if we have a motion that's a serious motion, we're going to file briefs, that may be 100 pages long. The state's going to do the same. Then we'll file a reply brief. I mean, it's a lot of work. And our circuit court judges they've got one legal law clerk who typically is a graduate. That year, they come to work for them. In August of the year, they've graduated from law school and work till the next August. So they're not much help. So this is pretty much something. And if I were the judge, I'd be asking questions like, "Well, I have to still carry a normal caseload," and that judge will hear a motion on change of venue, which will again, I think the government, the state, ought to agree that Colleton County can't give us a fair jury. Agree to a change of venue, and then agree on where we should go. We can negotiate all that, and that would move the case along a lot quicker.
And I kind of want to touch back on to moving the trial to a different court. Do you feel that if it goes back into the same court, that we could run into that issue again, where someone inside of the courthouse may do whatever?
Well, there may be some home cooking, if he goes back to his home. I think we got to get it out of there, and I think there's tremendous people already down there. They know him. They know his family. They know the history. A lot of folks resent the family. I mean, you don't have that in any other county, well, outside of that circuit.
Absolutely. And do you believe, would there be any benefit to putting it back into the same county?
Not to Alex-Murdaugh.
And I want to talk just a little bit about, I know you said he was excited and kind of surprised about this ruling. What does he want to do moving forward?
Go to trial and get acquitted.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's his goal. That's our goal.
And if that goal isn't achieved, do you guys feel that there will be an appeal, or what next?
I'm just getting used to the idea we're going to get another trial. We're not thinking about what's going to happen next. A trial.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Rapulli, I definitely appreciate you for stopping by and doing this interview with us. We really appreciate it. And if you would like to watch this full interview in its entirety, we're going to place it on our website, WLTX.com.